We're going to give it a second because I just clicked start streaming. I didn't have the right thing selected and there was some question about it. So I'm going to wait for my support staff who's over there. You can't quite see to tell me that we are live. Are we live? Yay! So we're live. Welcome to PAMcast for July 16th, 2024. I'm 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗶𝗀, founder and CTO of Ruffian Software. We are here to talk about the product TechIDManager. This is a privileged account management package specifically for managed service providers and VARs. This PAMcast is targeted toward people who are already partners of TechIDManager and using it, considering using it, and know what it is, or you've already deployed it. Or you're in a trial and you want to find out some more information. So today, we're going to talk to you about things that have changed in the last month about TechIDManager. We're going to talk about some security stuff that's happening in Ruffian Software. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things. And hopefully, we'll be entertaining. I may or may not get sidetracked. It has been a beautiful day here, and we're having some stairs put in outside in our backyard. So if you hear a truck or a little excavator running, that might be what it is. Hopefully you don't hear that. Or if my dogs take off barking, you might hear that too. So let's look at our agenda for today and talk about it. Here's our agenda. We already talked about who I am and why you're here. So the first thing on the agenda is a new security journey for Ruffian Software. We have always been very cybersecurity focused. We have always taken security very seriously. We go above and beyond what we think is necessary to provide security. Now we're going to go through SOC 2 compliance and audits and have some paperwork and some certificates that go around that. Anytime I talk about certificates, I always think about this guy I used to work with. I won't name his name, but we worked in the software industry together. We wrote robotics software, and everybody called him a paper collector because he would go get a certificate for anything he could, and he would put it on his cubicle wall. He had 50 to 60 certificates lined up on his cubicle wall, all for, if he could get a certificate for doing it, he would do it. And one time I went and taught this class and got a certificate, an honorary degree of something for robotic integration. And I put it up on my wall, and everybody laughed. They're like, oh, you're becoming a paper collector now. We're not becoming a paper collector, but we do think that, I looked at the SOC 2 process. It is the first of a series of security compliance journeys and audits that we at Ruffian Software are going to go through. Part of that is we have added to our website a trust center. ruffiansoftware.com, TechIDManager-trust-center. It's also under partner resources, Trust Center. This is a series of frequently asked questions about our security compliance. My favorite one is the first one. Can TechIDManager staff view my passwords? No. In no uncertain terms, the zero visibility storage we use can't see your passwords. If anybody ever questions it, we can prove that. We would love to show it to you. You're all aware of that. We also have down here some of the status of some of our infrastructure control stuff, some of our product security, internal stuff, whole bunch of that trust stuff that companies look for when they are collecting papers. And we're now collecting a piece of paper. So we'll be talking about this as we go. Every month, we'll give you an update on where we are on our SOC 2 journey, whether we have completed the type 1 and the audit or the type 2 or where we are. All right. Ways to do PAM with TechIDManager is the second item on the agenda here. And this is on the agenda because we were doing some internal reviews this past month, looking at the way TechIDManager has been deployed, the way people used it. We've talked to some existing partners, and it became kind of obvious to us that 5 years ago, when we started, we did privileged account management for domains with unique IDs for each technician. And that's what we did. It was MVP, made sure it was viable, functional. It was. Since then, we have grown to do privileged account management for managed service providers and VARs in a significantly larger variety of ways. If we look at the deployment examples on our website, we're going to go through this real fast just to give a refresher and maybe new information on the ways that TechIDManager can be deployed and what it can do for your technicians' accesses and account controls at client sites and everywhere. These deployment examples, the first one here is pretty common. This is kind of where we started with. You can deploy our agent on domain controller and get unique accounts for each technician on that domain. We added to that 𝗏𝗏s, where you can actually deploy an agent on individual computers, take over a single account, and share that with a series of technicians that you choose to share it with. This is a complete replacement for Microsoft 𝗏𝗏s, and it does it a lot more. It does it cross-tenant, it does it offline, it does it without a domain, without an Azure tenant, it does it for workgroup machines, does it in all those kinds of situations. And it will let you take over multiple accounts on a machine if you have them. In addition to that, taking over a user usable account, the same 𝗏𝗏s functionality can take over service accounts and auto log on machine accounts for legacy servers or for kiosk style machines. So you can get the same password rotation and protection on those type of service and auto log on accounts that you can get for any admin account that you need to protect. We have added Azure and Microsoft Entra ID agents so that you can make unique accounts for technicians directly in Azure tenants. We do this very securely with functions. Everybody knows this. You're the audience. You've already deployed this probably, but it's there. Just want to point it out that that's another thing that we've added over the last 5 years. You can mix and match any of these types of things. Domains with unique accounts, laptops with local unique accounts, even servers. And in a situation like this, we have several clients and partners who have deployed the agent to domain controllers to make unique accounts for each technician, but that account is only allowed to log on to the domain controller. If they want to use an account that logs onto a server, they have to use a local account on that server. There's an example on our website called Allow Local Logon and Deny Local Logon with TechIDManager, where we can use the group policies for Allow Local Logon and Deny Logon Locally. I mispronounced that. Allow Logon Locally and Deny Logon Locally with some groups, GPO policies, and then TechIDManager triplets and groups that grant these rights to the set of technicians that you want for the set of servers that you want. So if you have technicians that should just log into a backup server, they don't really need a domain account, or they do, but it should only be used to log into the server, and the backup server is a different account. We support all of that. We help manage all those rights and all those accounts. And this example is a great way that you can do that. Any of the GPOs that will do access control, TechIDManager can integrate with and use. Another one, if you just have a group of workstation machines where you want to make unique access to those machines, we can do that for technicians. An important piece to recognize about that is all these different deployment examples we can do both just in time and managed so that you can have offline access to them. The just-in-time stuff is great because it gives you that access to that account just when you need it. But just like every internet cloud tool that does any sort of just-in-time access or provisioning, it requires an internet access. There are times, criteria, reasons why you would want to do offline access to a machine. You want to have a guaranteed, like a break glass account or some sort of offline capable account. With TechIDManager, you can mix and match just-in-time and offline accounts on the same machine. So you can have unique just-in-time accounts and then one account or even unique accounts that are offline accessible with rotating password, with all that other protection, but doesn't require the internet if you need it. Some of the cases you might want this is if you walk up to a machine where somebody with a backhoe, speaking of backhoes, I'm going to backhoe my backyard, where a backhoe has broken the internet connection, you as an MSP still need a viable way to access that machine and get into it. We can provide that. We can provide just-in-time account for all the technicians and managed offline access for one or two technicians if you want it. This is done with the instances of TechIDManager agents on those machines. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. Maybe we should do a more in-depth study about that at some point. If you want that, email support@techidmanager.com and let them know that you want to see more in-depth of the multi-instancing of TechIDManager agents on machines, and we'll cover that. All right. Well, let's get to the boring technical stuff, which is what I love to call it, but not everybody loves to call it that. The new features that have come out in the past month. We have added API examples for the REST APIs that are available for TechIDManager. If we look at on the website, TechIDManager.com, ruffiansoftware.com, under partner resources and how-to articles, one of the most recent articles is an example API usage on the activity report. In the management console, under reports, there's an activity log report. This activity log, oh, I have to be logged in. I have to log in to see it clearly. Shows everything that's kind of going on in TechIDManager. Who's used what, who's done where, who's requested things to be enabled or disabled, all that kind of stuff. This is a REST API example using our documented REST API to generate an API key and an IP address from which you need to run this code. This code will get you that API, that activity report, let you parse it and do what you want with it, and print it out even, or do whatever you want, over whatever time frame you want to get. This API key and IP address need to be set up inside the management console specific to each program or machine that wants access to the management console. So in the management console, under client options, you will see that there is API access. In there, you generate an API key. This can be any string you want. You can make it longer, shorter, generate as many different ones as you want. And you put the source IP address for this key to be used from. This is two-factor authentication, even for programmatic access to the REST API for Management Console, or for all of TechIDManager. The API key is something that you know. The source address is something that you are, something where you are coming from. You just add that. You can have the keys there that you have. And then this example uses, please ignore the terrible command line parsing that goes on here, but command line parsing is not really the point of this example. The point of this example is this line down here, oops, which does the REST API call to, my page is broken, there we are, which does the API call to report client activity with the authorization key from the IP address. This will be logged in the management console. That's pretty good. All right. If you have any questions about it, support at techidmanager.com. We'll be able to answer your questions about it. This is one API usage out of our entire API, which is available from chdoc.ruffiansoftware.com/swagger. This has all the API entry points to do literally everything that happens in TechIDManager is exposed via this API. If you are properly authenticated, you can do anything that you want in there. That is the way that it works. If you have developers on staff, they will have a heyday using that and getting things in place that need to be in place. All right. The next, there was a hot fix for domain service version 5.1.1.7. Domain service version 5.1.1.7, when deployed on a local machine for the very first time, did not properly identify that machine as local accounts and tried to make domain accounts. This affected a very small subset of our partners. If you are one of those partners that affected, you got an email last weekend about this particular issue and how it was affecting you. The fix, update to version 5.1.1.4, fixes that issue and doesn't have any other issues with it. It's just to fix that one issue. There's an update script that will update it anywhere you run the script. If you have any questions, if you need any help with that, if you didn't get an email this weekend about this hotfix, you were not affected. If you did not deploy 5.1.1.7 to a new machine that was also a local machine, you were not affected. If you deployed 5.1.1.7 to a domain controller, you were not affected. A very small subset of people were affected by this. And there has been, as soon as we found it, we made a release, fixed it. July 12th, the release went out. Good to go. All right. The email that we sent out talks some about how this happened. We had a blind spot in our testing procedure. That blind spot has been fixed. That email also talks about some of the things that we are doing to prevent this from happening in the future and some of our mitigation measures. If you have any questions, you can email support@techidmanager.com. You seem to be hearing that a lot. Email support@techidmanager.com if you have any questions. I think that's what you do. This next new feature, it's not quite a new feature. It is a new feature, but it's not released. It's done. It's in testing. It'll be released very soon. This feature will allow you to put a URL in a documentation tool or web page, and when you click on it, it will open a particular credential in the tech client. This is very important to us. We think that documentation tools are no longer good enough for storing credentials and privileged information. Documentation tools are phenomenal for storing documentation, information, other such stuff like that. And when you have one of those tools in place, you want to be able to quickly get from whatever information you are looking at to the credential that will give you access to the thing that is the thing. So if you have firewall documentation and you want to put a URL that'll open that firewall password inside TechIDManager in that documentation, you'll be able to do that very soon. The pre-release for that should go out tonight. You'll be able to click on a link in the documentation tool, open it in tech client. I could talk about this all day long, but let's see it because I think it's pretty cool. So we have this page of links here, and we have the tech client. You see in the tech client, we have cybertechid.com here selected, even if we have it minimized, whatever. We want to open the 𝗔𝗰𝗶𝗁 credential in the tech client. I can click this link, boom, opens the tech client, pre-selects the 𝗔𝗰𝗶𝗁 credential, I can use it. This works for managed passwords, for any other, for server, for the Jeep domain. Even if I have a vault password, like 𝗬𝗵𝗿𝗆 in the tech client, and I want to open it, click on that link, it opens 𝗬𝗵𝗿𝗆 credential in the vault passwords tab. This is very important for efficiency. We've had quite a few partners ask for this, so here it is. To find out the formatting of that URL, there are two options. In the tech client that's about to be pre-released, you can right-click on any of these and copy the tech link client. This, if I copy it, and I open any sort of editor, this is the format of that URL. TechIDManager://tech client, agent type, GUID, it'll open that link. You can also get them from the management console under agents. If you look at the details for a particular agent, down here at the bottom is that tech client link that will let you open that directly in the tech client. A technician open it directly in tech client on their machine. All right. This will let you integrate your documentation and your privilege account management, and technicians will be able to get to their credentials from multiple different avenues, depending on the way in which they are trying to get there. This should be an efficiency increase. We care about quality of life and efficiency for technicians. This is one small way in which we are trying to help. If you have any questions or any suggestions for things like this, you ready for it? Contact support@techidmanager.com. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Next time. So those are all we have also done, just a transient sidetrack, talk a little bit here. This month doesn't look like many new features released, but a lot of stuff went on internally, specifically related to the SOC 2 compliance and some internal support tools for helping anybody who needs help with TechIDManager. It's been a really productive month. I've been very happy with it. We've also done quite a bit of work on this so-promised and loved update agent. So it is so close. It is, I can taste it. It's right there. It works, but we are reviewing it. This will be anywhere you install the domain service. Because we have clients that are CMMC2 and they're highly security compliant and they want to vet every executable before it goes out, this will be an optional side agent. You install this and it will keep the domain service up to date with releases as they happen. Oh, we have a question. Does the API key expire after a period of time? No, the API key does not expire after a period of time. You are able to continue using that API key, and you're also able to change it at will when you want. The point of changing passwords, changing API keys, things like that, is a very interesting study and cybersecurity study. And I am just to philosophize a little bit right here. I love that word, philosophize. The requirement to change passwords is one of those headline features that a lot of people look at. The requirement to change an API key is something that should be embedded and secret inside a machine and should not be available to just pull out of the machine. So you can put it in secret storage inside a machine. I've talked about this with, you can look up, there's a YouTube video where I talk about the security of the auto logon password and where that is stored. Though you can easily pull that out if you know the name of it, you can put other things in that same secret storage area on a Windows computer and not be able to get them out. If you know the name of them, you can get them out. But if you don't know the name of it, which you could hide as the developer writing that, you'll be able to use that API key and hide it somewhere. Do you think we should force people to change that API key? If you think we should, let us know. We are open to feedback and suggestions like that. Because it is two-factored, because you have to come from a particular IP address, and you have to have that API key is keyed to only that IP address. And it's complicated. It's not a replayable attack. Not replayable for attacks from other locations. I believe that it falls very clearly in the secure and savable area where you don't need to rotate you don't need to force people to rotate on a regular basis. You're always welcome to. You can always go and delete one, create a new one, put all that information back in. It's also been a little personal gripe of mine. Personal gripe that unless you are changing that API key on a very regular basis, like daily, there's still a large window from the time that it is broken or stolen till you change it and break someone's access. A lot of bad things can happen. So specifically machine access, where you aren't dealing with it daily and something could break, I don't know, they need to change it. Anyway, I got sidetracked there. Today, person does want API keys to expire, but he says no expiry required in my eyes. I agree. Thanks. I like it. And then somebody else asked, have you integrated directly with SOC systems like 𝗤𝗓𝗄? We have not integrated directly with SOC systems like 𝗤𝗓𝗄. We are doing integration on this side to do all the audit log and proof collections into a SOC 2 management system. I will look at 𝗤𝗓𝗄 and see if I can see if it's something that we want to integrate with or deal with. But at this time, I don't know what it is. I'll make a note. I'll have my little minion make a note, and we will figure it out and see if we can deal with that. All right. So before I answer the question, where was I? Oh yeah, the update service. So close. It will be released this month. Another thing that is so close is the Azure agent in version 5.0 in .NET 8.0, specifically running on the isolated worker framework model instead of the older Azure function model. This is an update that's being required by Microsoft. It is almost directly copy-paste the code into a different framework. I understand why they are doing it, so we're playing along, and that release of a new Azure Agent 5.0 will come out pretty soon. It will have the 5.0 internal signing. It will be isolated worker model. There'll be a quicker way to update it. It will have quite a few new features also. Things like setting the company in Azure, and a few other things. I don't know them off the top of my head, but it's coming. What else can I say about that? That's about all there is to say about that. If anybody else has any questions, throw them in the doobly-doos down below. I love that, doobly-doos. There are lots of good things happening at TechIDManager and at Ruffian Software. We are growing. We are on 4 continents. Super excited about that. We do PAM in so many more ways than we did when we first started. It is quite the ride to found a company and enjoy growing it and have all of you all on board with us. We thank you for being here. We hope to see you next month. This is also, we've also this month done some changes to the way internal notifications work for who we sent emails to about PAMcast. So some of you might have gotten emails about this PAMcast that you didn't get emails before. On ruffiansoftware.com, there's a list of all the previous PAMcasts if you want to go back and watch any of those. Some are more entertaining than others. I think a couple months ago we had a technical issue, so there wasn't one. But they're there if you want to go back and watch them. They're entertaining, some of them. So thanks for being here. We really appreciate all of y'all. If you have any questions, support@techidmanager.com, and we hope to see all of you in a month. Have a great day.